Hello, I'm Adam Hart, and I live in Squamish, British Columbia, Canada. And this is my story.
Right from a very young age, I had a poor relationship to food. I was given food as a reward, and I think it's a very common experience in North America. I remember being in my teenage years, and I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and put on Ritalin when I was about, 12 years old. And didn't know at the time, but I know now definitely. It had a lot to do with the fact that I lived with a cola, pop in one hand and a chocolate bar in the other, and eating all the wrong kinds of foods. I started going through bouts of depression. I started battling with anxiety. Eventually, I walked into my doctor's office one day at 26 years old, and he looked at me and said, "Adam, you have high cholesterol. Take this prescription. Go get it filled, and you'll be okay." And I said, well, kind of looked at that and said, "High cholesterol, you know what? I have no idea what that means." And I looked at my doctor, and essentially he said to me, "Adam, if you don't change the course of direction you're on, you'll be insulin dependent within about 6 months. You are pre-diabetic." It kind of really altered my thought patterns, and didn't want to live off any more medication, and decided that I was going to make a shift. And I did. I moved away from Toronto and got heavy into the outdoors. With my health, I had no choice. I had to do something in order to discover something more. And I was really driven to the outdoors, to being in nature. There was something about it that I had no idea what it was I was tapping into. I know now it's based on energy, but back then I didn't know what that was. I remember one of my first roommates, he had a bunch of glass jars in all of his cupboards, and they were all based on different nuts and seeds and grains. And being from Toronto, in the lifestyle that I grew up with, that's not what was in our cupboards. And if you think about what your grandmother and what my grandmother used to have in her cupboards, that's what it was. It was all based on nuts and seeds and grains and plant-based foods in the jars. And so when I saw this, I found it very confusing at first, but as I started to explore some of those foods, I realized there's something about it. And the more I researched, the more I put it into action, and I started to get creative with the food, started creating some amazing recipes, started sharing it with friends and family, and eventually, I started to train to become a mountain guide. And I really wanted to become a rock guide for one, and then a rock climbing guide, and then eventually, the passion was to go for a full mountain guide certification. It was kind of that passion around food that I wanted to explore even deeper. And I remember going home in 2003 and sharing my discoveries with my family and my friends, and kind of running a trial program with them on introducing them to the power of food. And right away the response was pretty phenomenal. Not only were the energy levels of the people I was introducing what I was doing going through the roof, but the weight issues and stress levels and all that was starting to improve. And everyone mentioned to me, "Adam, you're really good at what you do. You should turn this into a business." Essentially, that's how I got the passion around food, and started then to create what I now have as far as the Power of Food brand, and bringing the message to a larger audience.